Once upon a time, my best friend Myles was born in Nottingham in 1976, then moved to Barnoldswick at the age of 1. My first recollection of Myles is from play school. I think we must have been about 3, riding down the slide together on our Postman Pat trucks and eating Play-Doh in the sandpit. Well, I think that was Myles. Maybe that was my other best friend. Anyway, these are just minor details. Myles spent most of his life growing up in Monk's House, a bed and breakfast house to those of you who aren't aware, in the very heart of the Mecca that is Barnoldswick. Barbara, Myles' mother, ran a very tight ship and was the best of hosts. I loved Babs. She was like a second mother to me, although I think she probably got sick of me. I was constantly there, eating all her food and sprawled out on her sofa, watching music videos all day long. Myles has always been good at entertaining himself. No, not in that kind of way, but by creating things to do. And he always was super competitive. I recall the many days he and I would imagine that the hallway and dining room of Monk's House were the 17th and 18th halls at Wentworth. Remember that this is a guest house, and yes, guests will be sat watching TV or eating their evening meals. But Myles didn't care. "Oi!" he'd shout to one of the guests. "You stood on the 8th green," pointing at a circular pattern on his mother's 70s carpet. This was his home, and more importantly, he had a golf match to win. Every ornamental plate in their hallway got smashed to pieces during these matches, and Barbara, to this day, has no idea that while she was out, we would be painstakingly re-stick and repaint those plates so that we should never even notice. Although I think my wife let it slip at Sophie's 18th birthday party. Either way, Babs certainly knows now. When Barbara wasn't holding the fort at Monk's House, Myles, Oliver, Myles' brother, myself and Sophie, Myles' younger sister, were often making breakfast for guests. And, I recall on the odd occasion, if they ever pissed us off, Ollie would put cat food in their dinner. Yes, cat food. You wouldn't think it to look at us now, but we weren't exactly the coolest kids in Barlick. Both cursed, or blessed, whichever way you may look at it, with baby faces. While all the foxy girls had started to don miniskirts and high heels, and were hitting the local night spots, Myles and I would be enjoying a game of street cricket. What geeks! Girls were handing us on a plate, and all we were interested in was Myles' sticky wicket. Or, even worse, we'd be found at home painting lead soldiers to try and make some money. I swear we were bordering on professional, but also bordering on being the saddest kids in town. But, most probably, camped out in the sitting room of Monk's House for at least 16 hours a day, gorging on MTV2. No, we weren't exactly setting the world on fire during our teenage years. Look, I was always a bit of a geek at school, or maybe not so much of a geek, but always quite sensible. Myles, however, wasn't such a geek, and would often lead me astray, like the time he squirted ketchup on a dinner lady's back, or when he got sent off at rugby on purpose just so he could have an early shower. The PE master caught him peeing in the showers and made him scrub the whole block with a toothbrush after school. Or, like the time he pulled Paul Greenwood through a window and he landed on his face and broke his nose. I think I may have had a hand on his shirt too, though. We nearly got expelled. Yep, there was always a mischievous side to Myles. As teenagers, football was our game. My hero was John Barnes. Myles, however, preferred the continent, constantly watching 110 Italian-style goals, and his hero, who he named himself after, Aldo Serena of Inter Milan. Serena enjoyed his best season with the club during the 1988-89 campaign, when he won the Scudetto with Inter and was crowned top scorer of the league with 22 goals. However, as Myles tried hard to emulate his success of his hero, he soon realised he was pretty crap, and went in goal. No bad thing though, he proved to be an excellent keeper. Football played a huge part in Myles' life, and still does to this day. Like the 6 weeks we both spent in Greece at Uncle Christopoulos and Aunt Jen's. "Sta matare, Myles, sta matare!" the Greeks would shout from their holiday homes. "It is siesta!" "Piss off," Myles would shout back. "I'm on my holidays!" And we'd carry on playing and messing about until the sun went down. Chris and Jen were great hosts, and Jen's cooking was second to none. Those beans! Aunt Jen's beans. Oh, those beans. As soon as you ate them, you had to run. Run for the hills or the closest place you could drop your trousers. And on getting there, you'd realise there was no toilet roll. So of course, I'd be the one running back to get it after I'd already dropped my shopping. Greece has played a big part in Myles' life. And there was one time when Myles and his brother Ollie were in their teens, and they went to the campsite. One day they took a dinghy out, quite a way, and Ollie proceeded to fill it up with water. Stupidly, unknown to them back then, they didn't realise it would eventually explode because of the weight of water within it. It blew like a great white had hit them. You've never seen two young lads swim as fast for shore. Of course, they bullshitted to their folks on their return and never owned up to filling it with water. It just exploded, they said. I'd like to now pause for a moment, if I may, and reflect on one person who unfortunately can't be with us today. Myles' dad, Lou. Myles, I'm sure he's watching on from above and raising a glass in your direction, with his super tanned face beaming like never before. Of course, not because you're getting married, but because he's probably just back the 440 from Chepstow. You see, Myles' dad liked the finer things in life, and you'd often find him in the bookies. We all miss you, Lou. So, as Myles grew up, he tried out all the things that grown-ups do. Like booze. Oh my word, that boy and booze. I've never come across such a featherweight when it comes to putting it away. Crap at drinking, he can usually be spotted pouring it away, puking it up, or passing out. I've never ever known anyone take as long to drink a pint.
Just get a diet, just one it down. Just smack him on the back of the neck.
Something else a boy has to endure as he becomes a man is nicknames. Myles has had numerous, Gutless being my particular favourite. However, it came back and bit me on the bum once, as I called him this on my stag do, and we had a brawl in some dirty kebab shop in Newcastle. Less said about that, the better. Uncle Crabman is another nickname, a name my girls gave to him. When they were little, he would don a yellow bobble hat pulled down over his face with peepholes cut out, and would move from side to side like a crab to entertain them. Or Steve. Sometimes we call him Steve. Don't ask why, just Steve. Fashion is another thing that Myles has experimented with and obsessed with over the years. Sartorial Myles. Clean cut, beautifully groomed, driving shoes. Yes, he changes his shoes when he gets in the car. Every time he would come to visit, he would bring his blue swag bag with numerous outfits, one for each occasion. When he was best man for me, he dressed in a Paul Smith check suit and looked like Rupert the Bear. I'll always love him for that. You could say that Myles has always turned heads when it comes to ladies. His first Greek love, Fortini, the goddess of the sea, with quite rotund ankles, once rode straight into a sign on the side of the road because she couldn't take her eyes off him. Smack, right in the mush. But Myles was often found peeking in prams. Usually, all his other girlfriends were very young. I often referred to him as the groomer, and he'd be better off living in Rotherham. But I just think he knew. He was waiting for his childhood sweetheart. No, I don't mean the sweetheart of a child, no. I mean his childhood sweetheart, which nicely leads me on to the beautiful bride. As soon as my wife met Anna, she knew she was the one for Myles, and in hindsight, as soon as Myles met Anna way back in high school, he knew she was the only one for him. For those of you that don't know, Myles and Anna first dated back in 1991. Apparently, he decided he fancied her after a dream he had on holiday about her whilst laid on a beach. He finally grew some balls and asked her out, as Anna recalls going to Monk's house to spend a day with him. But of course, I was there too. She seems to think that all her memories of Myles back then involved me and him being together, and always being very sarcastic towards her. There was one rare occasion when I wasn't actually with him. He went over to Kelbrook for the day to hang out in the churchyard with Anna and all the other Kelbrook kids. But she decided that she didn't like him anymore and walked home alone, leaving him stranded. Luckily, Kate Roberts took him in and made him scrambled eggs in the microwave, which almost made him sick. And I'm sure he's never forgiven Anna for that. Then there was a time when Anna was about 17, and they bumped into each other in the After Dark club, and then shared a taxi home together. According to Myles, they're their snog. However, Anna's not so sure. But this time round, how did he capture her attention? No, not the invitation of a fine meal together, or a drink at the local watering hole. No, this time he wooed Anna by inviting her around for tea and Battenberg. He actually wooed her with Battenberg. What a charmer! What a charmer. But actually, that is what Myles, my best friend, truly is. A charming man, and I love him with all my heart. Not only is he my best friend and Anna's true love, but an inspiring stepfather to Ollie and Spike, and a devoted dad to his precious daughter Dottie. You're one in a million, cub, and here's to you, dear boy. May you live happily ever after.